Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So one of the draft prospects that the 49ers have recently been linked to a lot has been LSU's offensive tackle, really all in all offensive lineman. This guy could play almost any position on the offensive line, but it's Will Campbell. So really going into the combine and leading up to the combine, Will Campbell was widely regarded as the best offensive lineman coming out of the 2025 NFL draft. And some people still believe that. Some people still have him ranked as the number one tackle coming out in the NFL draft. However, his arm length became a major talking point at the combine when it measured just under the commonly desired 33-inch minimum. And some speculated, of course, that this could impact his draft stock. We also seen Missouri's offensive tackle, highly touted offensive tackle, Armand Membu, have a phenomenal combine. And really following the combine, there was a lot of chatter about Armand Membu potentially being the best offensive lineman in this entire NFL draft. However, concerns over Will Campbell's arm length kind of got put to rest at LSU's Pro Day this week. NFL personnel remeasured they remeasured Will Campbell's arms, and it was exactly 33 inches. And Will Campbell said for 2 years, nobody had any measurements on me and nobody said anything about my play. So now all of a sudden an arm length decides if I'm a good player or not. I think it's BS. And Will Campbell does have a pretty good point. Like, obviously, a 33-inch arm length is not, it's not the greatest in the world, but it's also not a bad thing. Joe Staley, longtime 49ers legendary offensive tackle, he had a shorter arm length, and obviously he went on to have what will be a Hall of Fame career. But I think a lot of teams and scouts and whatnot are looking at Will Campbell's arm length and thinking that it may be a concern with him playing the tackle position. But either way, there's been a decent amount of mock drafts recently, with it really in the past week to 10 days, that have the 49ers selecting Will Campbell at 11th overall. A lot of people believe that he will fall. A lot of people believe that Armand Membu will be the number one offensive lineman off the board. I've seen a couple mock drafts where they have Missouri's Armand Membu going to the New York Jets at pick number 7. And that obviously would then, lead the 49ers to a position where they might see Will Campbell fall to pick 11. And obviously, if that's the case, should they draft him? Will they draft him? To be honest, I think they will. I think with Will Campbell, him being widely regarded for many, many months leading up to the NFL Combine and leading up to the NFL Draft, I think if a guy like him falls to pick 11, it's going to be almost impossible for the 49ers to look at him and not take him at pick 11. It would provide a boost to an offensive line anchored by Trent Williams and Dominique Pooney. And you don't, just because Trent Williams hasn't retired yet, doesn't necessarily mean anything for them taking Will Campbell. You can put this guy at left guard if you want to. You could probably put him at right tackle. He's definitely an upgrade over Colton McKivitz. The 49ers clearly have a need at left guard as well. But this guy's versatile, and just because his primary position at left tackle is obviously occupied by the legendary Trent Williams does not necessarily mean that he couldn't excel elsewhere, and then obviously be the long-term left tackle answer after Trent Williams retires. But again, his arm length seems to, kind of change by the day, right? So, he could play a variety of positions in San Francisco. And I do think, again, I mean, obviously you could definitely play him at tackle. I think they would probably play him at left guard initially, but again, he could be the Trent Williams successor in the Bay Area once Trent Williams hangs it up. So, um, obviously with Will Campbell, he's a freak build, 6'6", 319 pounds. He posted a career high 80.6 pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus in 2024. He allowed just 2 sacks and 18 pressures over 558 pass blocking snaps, and his performance earned him first team Associated Press All-American and first team All SEC honors. And again, I mean, I think one of the only concerns with Will Campbell could be his run blocking grade. It dropped from 84.9 in 2023 to 69.7 in 2024. And obviously, when you look at the 49ers, I mean, they want to make sure that, their offensive linemen are good run blockers. Their run game starts. That's the starting, thing for the 49ers in this offense. But I do think even with that, with that dropping from 84.9 to 69.7, it still contributed to a career low 72.2 overall grade. But still, Will Campbell's talent suggests that he has the potential to thrive at the pro level and have a very long NFL career. So I do think if Will Campbell falls, just given the type of athlete he is, given his versatility, being an offensive lineman, I think it would be very hard for the 49ers to pass up on a guy like Will Campbell. This is a generational talent offensive lineman. And I'll really be interested to see a month from now if Armand Mimbu ends up being the number one tackle off the board. If that's the case and Will Campbell falls, I do think it's going to be very hard for the 49ers to pass him up, and I do think they would probably end up taking him. As much as I love, James Pierce Jr. and Mike Green, Jalen Walker is seemingly working his way up on my draft crush board as what I think should be the pick at number 11. As much as I love all the edge rushers, I think, and as much as I think a lot of 49er fans would be pissed off if they did take a tackle at pick 11, I think we have to also understand that this is a very deep defensive line class, and they can get day one starters in later rounds on the defensive line. And I think also, too, given how deep the defensive line class is, it will make the pick or a Will Campbell pick at number 11 overall much easier to kind of digest. Obviously we know that the 49ers love taking defensive linemen. They've done it multiple times in the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era. I do think given how deep this defensive line class is, though, it definitely will make it easier to take Will Campbell at pick 11 because, again, there's multiple defensive linemen that they can get in later rounds if they hit on these picks that can be day one starters and immediate impacts. But I do think Will Campbell's talent suggests that it's probably going to be too hard for the 49ers to pass on him if he ends up falling to pick number 11. So we'll see what happens. Definitely a situation to monitor over the next month. There's a lot of talk about Will Campbell being the pick for the 49ers if he falls to number 11. And, of course, they're going to have backup plans too, right? Like if Will Campbell does end up going, before pick 11, their pick's probably then going to be, a defensive lineman. Unless Armand Mimbu falls. I think they love Armand Mimbu as well. I really don't think you can go wrong with taking Armand Mimbu or Will Campbell. But, again, Niner faithful, keep in mind for those that would hate the 49ers taking an offensive lineman, just remember how deep the defensive line class is this year. It's loaded with defensive ends. It's loaded with defensive tackles. And the 49ers would be just fine if they take an offensive lineman at pick 11. You also got to understand, too, that they're about to pay Brock Purdy $50+ million a year. You want to make sure that your franchise quarterback and the guy that you're paying a massive amount of money to is protected. And I've said this, for the longest time in multiple draft videos, but you cannot hate a move at pick 11 if it's to protect your quarterback. And in this case, that would be the pick. And it I think probably almost guaranteed. To me, it just can't see the 49ers passing up on Will Campbell if he falls. So to me, I'm not going to be mad at this. I would absolutely understand why the Niners would elect to take Will Campbell. And then they can get a guy like Femi Oladejo from the edge rusher out of UCLA. Femi Oladejo is a monster. This is a guy that the 49ers could take, in the second round or so. Doubt he falls to the third round. I'm thinking he goes to the second round. I don't know, man. There's been also a lot of hype about Femi Oladejo being a first round pick. I don't think that's the case, though. I don't know. Then again, though, maybe second round's too high for Femi Oladejo. Maybe they could get him in like the fourth or the fifth round. Either way, the point I'm trying to make here is there's going to be day one starters that are going to be available for the 49ers on the defensive line in later rounds. So taking an offensive lineman at pick 11 overall, I'm not going to hate it. But obviously, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.